Hey friends, my name is Angela with Buckridge Homestead. I'm so glad to have you here today. Right now I'm in my office / craft room and I'm just wrapping up some things, but I'm going to get into the kitchen here shortly and I want to make roasted tomato sauce. I have so many tomatoes left over from the garden that I want to make it into some sort of sauce, and I'm also going to be making cabbage fritters, which if you haven't had before, they are so good. You can eat them just by themselves for lunch with some sour cream or some dip, which I'm going to make with it, like a nice herb dip, or you can make them, have them as a side dish for dinner. There's so many ways you can use them. So I'm going to get into the kitchen shortly here, and then I'm going to get started. So come along with me and join me. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm just going to cut out some parchment paper and line some cookie sheets to get these roasted tomato sauce started. And this is really a great way to use up lots of extra tomatoes from your garden. And the smell in the house is so good while they're roasting in the oven. It's so delicious. I love using parchment paper because then I don't have to scrub the cookie sheet like crazy. They just slide right off. So if you do have it, definitely use it because it makes a world of difference. So I've got this ginormous bag of tomatoes, and I've been making so many things. I've been canning tomatoes, I've been making tomato sauce, I've been making green tomatillo sauce and canning all this stuff. And this time I want to make this roasted tomato sauce that I can add to different things like spaghetti sauce, or just even by itself on noodles or whatever you use tomatoes in. It's really good if you add it to soups, different things like that. So this time I'm just going to be freezing it in Ziploc bags, and then I can stack them neatly in the freezer. So the first thing I want to do is I want to wash all of my tomatoes really well, and then I'm just laying them out on cookie sheets because I want to fill the cookie sheet about half full, so I have room when I slice everything up in half or quarters, that we still have room. And I'm hoping to fit everything on 2 cookie sheets here today so I can put them both in the oven at the same time, one on a different shelf, because my oven doesn't fit these big long cookie sheets, or otherwise the door doesn't close. So I'm just gonna start chopping these tomatoes in half and in quarters, and I removed all of the little green stems already, so I don't have to worry about those, or if I come across one I'll take them off. I've never actually tried this with green tomatoes, making roasted green tomato sauce. I was just thinking that as I'm doing this, because that would be so yummy. I don't know, I might have to try that one day. I guess it will be next year, because this year this is the end of the tomato season. It's already October 15th, which is absolutely crazy because it's been so sunny and gorgeous and beautiful and warm outside. This is not like a typical fall day for us. It feels so good. It's so warm. So I've got everything all chopped up. Now all I want to do is I'm going to sprinkle some salt and pepper all over my trays of tomatoes. And I'm also going to sprinkle on drizzle some olive oil on there. And I'm going to chop up some garlic. I want fresh garlic on here. as well as garlic powder. And I've already chopped up in the food processor some of the garlic for making these cabbage fritters that we're going to be making after this. So I've just sprinkled a little bit of that. So salt, pepper, garlic, and olive oil, that's all you need. It's so simple. You just pop them in the oven and you roast them for about an hour and a half. I did mine on 375 for an hour and a half. I have a roasting feature on my oven, so that makes it really easy. But if you don't, you can just simply bake it. And if you want, I think I put my oven up to 400 in the middle just to get it a little more toasty. And now I'm just going to check on these guys. They look great. This is such a simple recipe. It doesn't take that long, and the house just smells amazing. So it's been an hour and a half, and these look awesome. They look so good, you guys. And now it's so easy. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let these guys cool on the tray, and they're gonna come off so easy because we put this parchment paper on here. And then I'm gonna scoop them all into a bowl and blend them in the food processor. And so here's all my fresh garlic that I was talking about, that I did 5 cloves. And I'm just scooping these off the tray now, and I'm going to add them to my food processor and start blending up the sauce. It's so easy, and you can use this for so many things. And like I said, I love it in soups and spaghetti sauces, but anything you use tomato sauce for, you can use this on the bottom of a pizza. If you make your own homemade pizza shells, oh, it's just fantastic as the bottom of the roasted tomato sauce. So good. And because the skins are on and there's garlic in there and olive oil, it doesn't make a watery, runny tomato sauce. It whips up into a really nice thick tomato sauce. So it's not your typical liquidy sauce. It's just so thick and so delicious and so yummy. You're just gonna love it. It's fantastic. And this has been so easy. Most of the time, you just prep the tomatoes, pop them in the oven, set them and forget them until they're cool. And look at this sauce. Doesn't that look fantastic? It is so thick and so yummy, and it just smells amazing. Now I'm gonna just freeze this, like I said, into baggies so that I can have them easy to grab and easy to use from my freezer. But if you want, you can actually can this sauce as well. If you want, you can can it for 45 minutes in a water bath canner. But my suggestion is to freeze it if you have room in your freezer, because it just stays so nice and the consistency stays exactly the same when you thaw it out. So there's my second tray, and if you can imagine the tray, that whole tray fit into one blender. So you don't get tons, but you do get quite a fair bit of sauce, but it does shrink down a bit. So I'm just gonna finish whipping up this beautiful thick sauce, and then I'm gonna start getting it into my bags. So I've got these awesome little bag holders out. I just love these things because then it's hands-free, and I'm just simply gonna scoop all this delicious tomato sauce into these bags, and then of course I made a mess, so I have to wipe the top of the bags off and zip them all shut. I got like 3 or 4 bags out of it, and I smooth them out flat so that when I freeze them flat so they all stack. And all my things that I make, I freeze this way so that I can get as much room out of my freezer as possible. So I smush this down really flat and then pop those in the freezer, and that's it. It's so easy. Now you've got your roasted tomato sauce. So I hope that you'll give it a try. It's fantastic, and leave me a comment if you try it. It's just so good and so easy, especially if you try it on pizza. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. And I love that I don't mind the seeds in it or anything. I like all of it because it's all just so good for you. So that's it. So now I'm gonna throw these in the freezer and get started on the cabbage fritters. So these are almost just as easy as making the tomato sauce, but you need to do a little bit more chopping, that's all. But these are so easy as well. And I have had this curly Chinese cabbage in the fridge for a while, and I've been wanting to use it, so I thought what a perfect way to use it up by making some cabbage fritters, because I haven't made these in a long time and they are so good. So I'm making a huge batch because I want to use my entire cabbage, but you can make for a few people you can easily use half of a cabbage. So I'm just chopping up a whole cabbage because I want to have. So my recipe will be for using a whole cabbage, but feel free to cut that in half. So you want to chop your cabbage as fine as possible, because I'm going to tell you a secret right now that your patties will stay together so much nicer the smaller that you cut the cabbage. If you have big pieces, sometimes your fritters can kind of fall apart in the frying pan, and then like this is a little bit too big. I should have cut it a little bit more than that, smaller. So when you do it, go ahead and cut it even smaller than how I'm doing it. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to boil that for 10 minutes. I'm not going to really check until it's super done or anything. I'm only cooking it tender cooked, just so that the cabbage, because the amount of frying time that we're going to have is not enough to cook the cabbage. So I'm simply softening it up by cooking it on the stove. And then our other ingredients we're going to use are the fresh garlic, onion, and carrots. And so I'm going to chop up my onion very small or grate it. I'm going to grate a few carrots, and this is how many I'm using for the whole cabbage. So I'm using 1 large onion and 2 or 3 carrots, depending on what size they are. You just use what you have. I love using what I have in the fridge to make stuff with. I never measure, and I use all sorts of ingredients that I have left from whatever. So if you have 2 or 3, or if you have 3, use 3. If you have 2, use 2. If you have, depends what size onion, like it doesn't matter, just as long as you put onion in there and garlic and some carrot, it makes it great. And you know what, if you don't even have carrot, you don't have to use it, but the onion really makes it. So use what you have. This is a great way to clean out your crisper in your fridge with some stuff, some veggies. And I just love making things with all the leftover stuff I have and not wasting anything, because groceries are so expensive nowadays. So the cabbage looks perfect, so I'm just gonna shut this off and let that sit for a moment. And then I'm going to simply strain it. So now I'm just straining all that delicious cabbage. It's probably halfway cooked, maybe 3/4 of the way, but still quite crunchy bit. It's hard to explain, but 10 minutes, boil it for 10 minutes, and that's how I do it. Some recipes call for pour boiling water on it and just let it sit there. I like to actually cook it a bit because I don't like super rock hard cabbage biting into that. I like it cooked. So now all you have to do is simply add some olive oil to your frying pan, and we're gonna just fry up the garlic, the carrots, and the onion together. And we're gonna saute that really well, because we want that to it gets that roasty, sauteed flavor of the onions, and it just tastes so good. in here. If you put it in raw, it doesn't have nearly the flavor that it does. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add salt and pepper. Sprinkle it on until however much you think. I'm using a couple teaspoons of each. I'm also sprinkling on a few teaspoons of smoked paprika. And I'm going to add 3 or 4 eggs. Now this also depends how many eggs you need. If you have a whole cabbage, I would suggest 4. And if you have half a cabbage, I would probably suggest 2 or 3. It just depends again what size your cabbage is. This was going to work out no matter how much salt and pepper and whatnot you put in there, so don't worry. Now I'm using 1 whole cup of flour because again, I've got the whole cabbage. So if you did half, you'd probably want to do half a cup, and just blend that together until it makes a really nice kind of a cabbagey saucy paste. And then all you have to do is we're going to grab our carrots and our onions, mix with our garlic, and we're going to add that to our cabbage mixture. It smells absolutely amazing in here. I can't even tell you how good it smells. Now, I just want to eat this like this, but I can't because I'm not allowed to eat raw eggs. So I'm going to be good and stir this all together and get ready to fry it. And it's that simple, you guys. It's just absolutely super simple. So I'm just going to add some more oil to my frying pan, and I'm simply going to start making some little round fritter patties with our mixture. And that's all that you have to do. Something about this makes me want to eat it already. It just smells so yummy. So I don't have exactly the perfect little round patties, but make them as round as you can. And that way they'll stick together more. And like I said in the beginning, if you chop your cabbage a bit finer than mine, it will stay together even better. I'm just gonna try and smooth these out with a spoon and get them all so I can fit at least 4 in my pan. And then I'm gonna just let these guys fry for a few minutes on each side. Between the roasted tomato smell and the smell frying in here right now is just amazing. It's so yummy. I can't wait to eat these. It's almost lunchtime anyways, so I'm gonna be definitely eating this for lunch. This is like the perfect crispiness right here. You want that golden brown kind of beautiful crispy patty. That is just perfect. And that took just like a few minutes on each side. And this is another reason you want to pre-cook your cabbage so it's nice and tender. So now I'm just going to make a beautiful herb sauce, and I'm using some organic Greek yogurt. Now you can use sour cream plain, or you can make this with sour cream as well. And I'm putting in some fresh dill, some fresh garlic, and some fresh chopped parsley, along with some salt and pepper, and that's it. It's so simple. All you have to do is mix that around, and you've got yourself a perfect little sauce for your cabbage fritters. I should be able to fit the rest of this in a pan for my very last batch, and it'll be perfect. Now look at how delicious they turned out with the sauce. It's just so nice and so fresh. They are so good. I just broke one apart and sampled it, and it is absolutely fantastic. And again, you can use anything you want. If you love ketchup and your kids love ketchup, let them try it with that. Otherwise, plain sour cream is fantastic. And even if you have no dip or anything, that's just as fantastic. So I hope that you will give this a try, making either the cabbage fritters or the roasted garlic tomato sauce. And if you do, I would love to hear from you. Please leave me a comment. And if you love my videos, feel free to subscribe and like the video. I hope to see you next time, friends. And thanks for joining me today. I hope that you give this a try. Let me know. Cheers, friends.